Hello students, welcome to Ashoka Online Academy. I am Avinash, teaching current affairs in the Ashoka Online Academy YouTube channel. Kindly follow the current affairs that is given in the Ashoka Online Academy and also download the Ashoka Online Academy app where you will get very good courses, okay, for high quality and at a very low cost. ఓకే సో మీకు మంచి కోర్సెస్ మంచి క్వాలిటీతోని ఓకే కాంపిటేటివ్ ఎగ్జామ్స్కి అశోక ఆన్లైన్ అకాడమీ యాప్లో ఉన్నవి మీరు ఒకసారి చూసి ఆ కోర్సెస్ ఇంట్రడక్షన్ క్లాసెస్ విని ఓకే మీరు జాయిన్ అవ్వచ్చు. నేను కూడా అశోక ఆన్లైన్ అకాడమీలో గ్రూప్ 1 మెయిన్స్ తెలంగాణ స్టేట్ పబ్లిక్ సర్వీస్ కమిషన్కి సంబంధించి సైన్స్ అండ్ టెక్నాలజీ క్లాసెస్ని యాప్లో చెప్పడం జరుగుతుంది. మీరు ఒకసారి చూస్తే అది మీకు కనిపిస్తుంది. సో సైన్స్ అండ్ టెక్నాలజీ, స్పేస్ టెక్నాలజీ స్టార్ట్ చేశాము. ఓవర్ మీకు మొత్తం సిలబస్ అయిపోయే వరకు ఒక 120 వీడియోస్ ఉంటాయి. ఒక 120 to 130 అవర్స్ క్లాస్ సైన్స్ అండ్ టెక్నాలజీ మీద ఉంటాయి. సో మీకు ఒకవేళ అవసరం అనుకుంటే సబ్స్క్రైబ్ చేసుకోండి. ఇంగ్లీష్ మీడియంలో చెప్పాను. ఓకే, సో కైండ్లీ ఫాలో దట్. అండ్ ఫ్రమ్ టుడే ఆన్వర్డ్స్ వీ విల్ సీ ది కరెంట్ అఫైర్స్. ఓకే, మ్యాక్సిమం విల్ ట్రై టు డూ ది కరెంట్ అఫైర్స్ రెగ్యులర్లీ Monday to Friday. And Saturday, Sunday, okay, I will take a break. Why? Because I have some other work. And then on Monday again I will resume the classes. So Saturday, Sunday kuda Monday roju cover chestanu. So don't worry. So today we will try to, and I will give all the facts, whatever the facts are there without missing. Okay, I will give the things very clearly. So Ashoka Online Academy 15th November current affairs, 15th November. So what are these? So there are totally 5 topics. So we will discuss about Indian polity topic. Southern Zonal Council meeting, okay, was held in Andhra Pradesh, okay, where the chairman of the Southern Zonal Council meeting is the Union and Home Minister Amit Shah. He came and he attended this particular meeting. So what is this Zonal Council? What is this Southern Zonal Council? Okay, why they are created? What is their importance? How they will work? All that we will try to understand. Then after that I will discuss about the CBI and enforcement directors term was extended for 5 more years, okay, after the initial appointment of 2 years by ordinance. Okay, so just 2 days back ordinance was bought by the government of India. Okay, 2 ordinances. So what are these ordinances? Okay, how they are going to affect the working of CBI? We'll try to understand. So after that we'll discuss about CBI, we discuss about Enforcement Directorate, air pollution in India. This is one more topic, third topic. Why air pollution is rising every October in Delhi, okay, in the Indo-Gangetic Plain. What are the reasons? Okay, news lo chustu unnaru. Supreme Court has asked the Delhi government to impose a lockdown, okay, because of the air pollution in Delhi. Okay, and the government of Delhi, that is the Aam Aadmi government of Delhi, okay, they have also took a decision to close the schools for the coming 2 weeks. Okay, so why Delhi every year October, November, January, December facing lot of air pollution? ఈ టైంలోనే ఎందుకు జరుగుతుంది ఎయిర్ పొల్యూషన్? వేరే టైంలో ఎందుకు అవ్వట్లేదు? ఓకే, అసలు ఎందుకు ఢిల్లీకి ఉన్న ప్రాబ్లం ఏంటి? ఓకే, జాగ్రఫికల్ ప్రాబ్లం కావచ్చు, ఇంకో క్లైమటాలజీ ప్రాబ్లం కావచ్చు, ఏంటి అసలు ఎగ్జాక్ట్ ప్రాబ్లం ఏంటి, ఎందుకు ఇక్కడ ఎయిర్ పొల్యూషన్ ఉంది మనం చూద్దాం ఒకసారి. ఎందుకంటే గ్రూప్ 1 ఇంటర్వ్యూలో కూడా మిమ్మల్ని అడగచ్చు, ఢిల్లీలో కేవలం ఎయిర్ పొల్యూషన్ ఇష్యూస్ అక్టోబర్, నవంబర్, డిసెంబర్లోనే వస్తాయి, ఎందుకోసం, రీజన్ ఏంటి అని అడగచ్చు. చింతన్ శిబిర్, ఇది ఒక గవర్నెన్స్ రిలేటెడ్ టాపిక్. మన గవర్నెన్స్ టాపిక్ కూడా ఉంది గ్రూప్ 1 మెయిన్స్లో, అర్థం చేసుకోండి. ఏంటో ఒకసారి చూద్దాం. 77 Council of Ministers divided into 8 groups by the government of India headed by Prime Minister. And these groups, 8 groups, okay, there will be some young entrepreneurs, there will be some policy advisors outside of the government, and they will sit to discuss about improving the governance in India or public administration in India. COP26th meeting agreement, 200 countries signed. What is this COP26th meeting? Organized from 31st October to 12th November 2021 in Glasgow, UK, in partnership with Italy. Okay, so what is this COP? Okay, what is this agreement? We'll try to understand. So today our agenda of the class is this Southern Zonal Council meeting. So what is this? సో దక్షిణాది ప్రాంతీయ మండలి, దక్షిణాది రాష్ట్రాల ప్రాంతీయ మండలి, తెలుగులో దక్షిణాది రాష్ట్రీయ ప్రాంతీయ మండలి ఏంటిది, ఎందుకు ఇది న్యూస్లో ఉంది? సదరన్ జోనల్ కౌన్సిల్ మీటింగ్. ఫస్ట్ అర్థం చేసుకోండి, మనకు ఒక టాపిక్ ఉంది ఇండియన్ పాలిటీలో, అదేంటంటే జోనల్ కౌన్సిల్స్ ఆఫ్ ఇండియా. జోనల్ కౌన్సిల్స్ ఆఫ్ ఇండియా. సో వాట్ ఈస్ దిస్ జోనల్ కౌన్సిల్స్ ఆఫ్ ఇండియా ఆర్ సింప్లీ ద జోనల్ కౌన్సిల్స్? Okay, so understand here very clearly, India is a federation, right? India is a federal country. India is a federal country, right? So, and the Indian federation system, is very unique. The Indian federation system is very unique. So what do you mean by the word federation? It means there will be a central government, and under the central government there will be the state governments. There will be the state government. This is what is simply called as the federation. The word federation in Indian constitution means simply you have a central government and under which you have the state governments. And understand one more thing, the central and state government in this federal structure of India, okay, they operate in a united manner, first thing, and they operate in a cooperative manner, and they work in a coordinated manner. Understand this very clearly. For example, COVID-19 crisis. So Indian Federation, okay, that is central government and state government, how they tackled the COVID issue? They worked in a united manner together, central and state. They worked in a cooperative manner. Central government manufacturing vaccines and giving to the state governments. They worked in a coordinated manner. They pooled all the resources, scientists, policymakers, administrators, staff, departments, everything was pooled and they worked together. So this is how the Indian system of federation will work, where the states are part and parcel of the central government. They are part and parcel of the central government, and they cannot be separated. At any cost according to the Constitution of India. So this is how it is. Now what is this zonal council is all about? Okay, so this is the introduction. Zonal council is simply a statutory arrangement. So what is it? It is a statutory arrangement by Indian Parliament. It is a statutory arrangement by Parliament of India or Indian Parliament, where the entire country is divided into different zonal councils. Northern Zonal Council, Central Zonal Council, Eastern Zonal Council, Western Zonal Council, and Southern Zonal Council, and Northeastern Zonal Councils, like this. And what will happen in each zonal council? The states that are part of it, okay, like in the Northern Zonal Council, we have this particular Rajasthan, we have this particular Punjab, we have this particular Haryana, we have this particular Delhi, we have this particular Jammu and Kashmir Union Territory, Ladakh Union Territory. Okay, what they will do? The Northern Zonal Council states and union territories, they will sit together under the chairmanship of Union Home Minister. They will sit, they will discuss what are the various type of issues that are there between these states in the Northern Zonal Council. Different types of disputes, for example, border sharing disputes, land border disputes, okay, law and order problem related disputes, okay, different type of okay, problems and issues will be coming between the states. All the states will be part of that particular council meeting. They will sit together, they will discuss, they will express their views, and in the manner they will overall solve the problems that are there to them. That is the idea. So like that, Union Home Minister will be chairing. Union Home Minister, okay, will be, okay, the leader. He will be the chairman of the all zonal councils, Northern, Central, Eastern, Northeastern, Western, and Southern Zonal Councils. So this is how it is. This is related to the zonal council. It is a statutory arrangement by Indian Parliament, okay, the zonal councils, where the entire India is divided into different zonal councils, and each zonal councils is having a geographical area, and within this zonal councils, what will happen? Okay, the chairman of the each of these zonal council is the Union Home Minister, Participating states will be that are part of the concerned zonal council. What they will do? They will sit, they will discuss, they will express their views, they express their problems, and they solve the disputes amicably, and they move in a cooperative, united and coordinated manner to solve the problems. That's it. It is a statutory arrangement by the Parliament of India. Then third important point is that the State Reorganization Act, the State Reorganization Act, the State Reorganization Act, okay, under the State Reorganization Act of what you call the year 1956, the year 1956, okay, State Reorganization Act of 1956, the zonal councils were proposed. The zonal councils were proposed, okay, and the State Reorganization Act, okay, under which the zonal councils were proposed, and the zonal councils are statutory bodies and they are not constitutional. They are not constitutional bodies. Remember this very clearly. Many exams they ask this particular question, and there are totally how many zonal councils are there? Northern, Central, Eastern, Western, Southern. There are 5 zonal councils. There are 5 zonal councils created under this particular State Reorganization Act, okay, of 1956. Northeast Zonal Council is not part of State Reorganization Act 1956. It is separately created by the Parliament of India through an act called as Northeastern Council Act. Through an act called as Northeastern Council Act. So remember these things very clearly. Okay, in the year 1971, the Northeastern Council Act was under this Northeastern Council was created. Again, same thing. Here also the chairman of the Northeastern Council is the Union Home Minister. The members will be the State Chief Minister, Assam, Sikkim, Arunachal, okay, Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura, Meghalaya. All these state chief ministers, chief secretaries will be part of this Northeastern Zonal Council. They will sit, discuss, share their views, express their problems, solve them in a simple manner. This is the overall arrangement of this particular what you call the zonal councils. Okay. Now, what is the news? The news is Southern Zonal Council meeting held in the year 2021, that is November 14, okay, in the what you call the Andhra Pradesh, or hosted by the Andhra Pradesh. So in this particular meeting, what happened? The chairman of the Southern Zonal Council is Union Home Minister, right, Amit Shah. So who are the participating members? Definitely Andhra Pradesh state and its chief minister. Then Telangana state. Okay, but Telangana state chief minister not participated, deputy chief minister and also the chief secretary and other secretaries participated. Then Karnataka is part of the Southern Zonal Council. Then Tamil Nadu is part of the Southern Zonal Council. Then Puducherry, Union Territory of Puducherry is part of the Southern Zonal Council. Then Lakshadweep Union Territory is part of the Southern Zonal Council. Then Andaman Nicobar Islands Union Territory is part of the Southern Zonal Council, and also the Kerala is part of the Southern Zonal Council. So these are the states and union territories that are part of the Southern Zonal Council. But actually the chief ministers of the state should participate. Okay, but somehow some of them are present, some of them were absent. When it comes to the union territories, Puducherry chief minister has participated, whereas Andaman Nicobar, Lakshadweep, they do not have any legislature. So the lieutenant governors or administrators of these union territories participated in that meeting. Very simple. What they do, they sit, they will discuss their problems, they will express their views, and they solve them in a peaceful manner. For example, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, the officials, they discussed about the water sharing issues between the Andhra Pradesh and Telangana when it comes to the Krishna water river. They said that water sharing issues are there when it comes to the Krishna river, and we have to move in a cooperative manner to resolve those issues. That is the discussion. Then what happened? Both the countries, they said that okay, let us move in a friendly manner, in a united and cooperative manner. We will share the detailed project reports that we are planning on the Krishna river. Both the states we will share, and they will solve the disputes in a simple manner without any conflict. That is the thing here. So this is the overall view of the Southern Zonal Council meeting held. Okay, so this is the thing here. So already I told you, Northeastern Zonal Council, it is not part of the State Reorganization Act. It is created by a separate Northeastern Council Act of 1971 by Parliament of India. Understand this very clearly. So understand this very clearly. And what happened is that yesterday the Home Minister said that in the last 7 years of BJP rule, the Home Minister is saying that, okay, the Union government has conducted 18 meetings, 18 zonal council meetings were conducted, okay, when it comes to the last 7 years of government rule, that is the BJP government rule. Just remember this particular okay, fact. Okay, so this is the thing here, 7 years, okay, 18 zonal council meetings. If you want more information about this zonal council meeting, simply refer to the Indian polity. book, that is written by Lakshmikant. In the chapter called as Center State Relations, you will have the information related to zonal councils. Read it, understand it, just compare it with this particular thing. That's it. So just I am giving an overview. Okay, so I am not the subject expert in polity. So I am just I will teach geography, SNT, environment, current affairs. That's it. I am not an expert in polity, but definitely this is what you have there. Okay, that is the thing here. Now next we will try to understand some of the facts. So I told you, in the previous map we have the zonal councils, right? Northern, central, eastern, okay, all these things. So which state is part of the which zonal council? You can just remember this for the prelims. For example, we have discussed about Southern Zonal Council, right? Andhra Pradesh is there, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Kerala, Telangana, Union Territory of Puducherry, and okay, the Lakshadweep is also part of it. Andaman Nicobar administrator also participated in this Southern Zonal Council meeting. Like this Eastern Zonal Council, you have Bihar, Jharkhand, West Bengal, Odisha, 4. So what you do is that you pause the screen and you write this particular thing. Okay, it will be useful in the MCQs. For example, how they will ask the question? They will ask a simple question like this: how many members are there? How many states are there in the Eastern Zonal Council? So how many are there? 4 are there. Or they may ask the question, which of these states is part of the Eastern Zonal Council? Bihar, Jharkhand, West Bengal, Odisha. So like that, you draw this particular map and just write this particular states. Eastern Zonal Council, 4 states. So what are they? Okay, Bihar, Jharkhand, okay, Odisha and Chhattisgarh, like this. Okay, so this is how you should practice the things. Sorry, it is West Bengal, not Chhattisgarh. West Bengal. Okay, remember this. I'm sorry, it is Bihar, Jharkhand, West Bengal and Odisha. Okay, remember this. So like that, practice the questions. Okay. Now next, what is the second topic? Indian polity. Again, Indian polity topic. So what is the news? The news is the term of the directors of Central Bureau of Investigation, CBI, and the Enforcement Directorate, okay, extended for 5 years by the Government of India through a ordinance. So this is how it is. Okay. So ordinance, the President of India is empowered to pass this particular ordinance, right? So but these ordinances, they have a lifetime of 6 months, and they can be passed only when the Parliament is not in session. Right? So President of India has just 2 days back signed the ordinances. One is Delhi Special Police Establishment Amendment Ordinance 2021 and Central Vigilance Commission Amendment Ordinance 2021. So what it will do? It is simple. Okay. So what it will do is that, so these 2 ordinances, Delhi Special Police Establishment Amendment Ordinance 2021, okay, it has extended the CBI director term, which is initially 2 years, and it can be extended up to 5 years through these ordinances. Means what? Just try to understand here very clearly. So CBI director is there. So this CBI director is appointed by a 3-member committee. He is appointed by a 3-member committee with the chairman of the committee, with the chairman of the committee as the prime minister, 1 member, and second is the leader of the opposition or leader of the single largest party in Lok Sabha, and third is the Chief Justice of India or any of the Supreme Court judge who is nominated by Chief Justice of India, to be part of this 3-member committee. These 3-member committee headed by the chairman, Prime Minister himself, and the second one, leader of the opposition in Lok Sabha or leader of the opposition, of single largest party in Lok Sabha. Third one is Chief Justice of India or anybody Chief Justice nominated Supreme Court judge. 3-member committee will select and also they will appoint. They will select and they will appoint the what you call the director of CBI. But whenever they are appointing the director of CBI, his term is just 2 years. And after that he has to resign. Automatically he has to resign, right? But what happen is that if the director of CBI is involved in the cases and the cases were not solved, what will happen or not concluded in this 2-year time period? Government will generally extend its term. So see here. Now recently what happened is that the government of India through this particular Delhi Special Police Establishment Amendment Ordinance 2021, it has decided to extend the term of CBI director for 5 more years. That is plus 1 year they can extend, plus 1, total 5 years they can extend the term. So every time they can extend the term of the CBI director for 1 year, like that they can extend it for the 5 years. That is 2 year initially, then 5 year total. So this is how it is. That is what the Delhi Special Police Establishment Act has ordinance is talking about. This is how it is. Now understand here very clearly. First I will discuss about CBI, and same is the case with the enforcement director. ఇలా అయితే సిబిఐ డైరెక్టర్కి 2 year టర్మ్ 5 years ఎక్స్టెండ్ చేయబడిందో, ఎన్ఫోర్స్మెంట్ డైరెక్టరేట్ యొక్క చీఫ్ his term is also extended up to the 5 years from the 2 years. So initially they will be appointed for 2 years, then government can extend up to the 5 years, each time 1 year, like that. So this is how it is. Now what we will do is that we'll try to understand this particular CBI. We'll try to understand this particular CBI and ED in detail. So this is how it is. This is the news, right? So see here. Let us understand about the CBI. Central Bureau of Investigation, CBI. Central Bureau of Investigation, CBI. So what is this CBI is all about? So see here. So let us see the history. Of this particular CBI. The CBI was established by British Indian rulers after the World War II. To investigate the corruption charges. So initially the CBI is called as SPE, Special Police Establishment. So this is the establishment. So who established it? The British rulers after the World War II to investigate the corruption charges. So understand this very clearly. Then what happened is that, so when it was established, Special Police Establishment, that is 1941. Then just try to understand the facts in a clear manner. Then what happened is that, so India got independence. Then when India got independence, the government of India has appointed what is called as the Shantanam Committee okay, on prevention of corruption. Shantanam Committee on prevention of corruption. On prevention of corruption. So this particular Shantanam Committee on prevention of corruption, what it said is that, okay, the corruption, to control the corruption, we should have a dedicated organization, and that's why you establish the CBI, Central Bureau of Investigation, okay, as a dedicated organization to solve this particular corruption related cases in India. That is the point here. So Shantanam Committee was established by Government of India, Shantanam Committee on Prevention of Corruption. It recommended the establishment of CBI. Then what happened? Government of India has established the CBI. Government of India has established the CBI under the Ministry of Home Affairs, or under the Home Ministry, or under the Home Ministry. But what happened is that to make it more effective, the CBI was shifted, okay, to work under the Ministry of Personnel, okay, and Public Grievances, Ministry of Personnel and Public Grievances, which is directly under the Prime Minister Office, and which in turn the Prime Minister Office is headed by the Prime Minister. That means the Prime Minister will have total control on the CBI. That is what the arrangement it is. So understand here very clearly, right now the CBI is under Ministry of Personnel. So understand this very clearly. And understand one more thing also. CBI deals with different types of crimes. Okay, it will investigate different types of crimes. So what type of crimes it will investigate? Okay, so understand here. So heinous crimes, okay, heinous crimes like rape, murder, okay, robbery, dacoity, all these things, heinous crimes. Then second, it will investigate about what is called as the corruption related crimes. Corruption related crimes or charges, whether it is political corruption or whether it is administrative corruption. But understand one thing here, whenever CBI is working, okay, under Prime Minister Office, it is dealing with heinous crime investigation cases. But whenever the CBI is dealing with the corruption cases under Prevention of Corruption Act, it will work under the CVC, Central Vigilance Commission. Remember this very clearly. And one more thing is that, okay, there are three divisions, okay, within the CBI. There are three divisions within the CBI. So what are these three divisions? One is we have this particular, okay, the name is called as Economic Offences Division. Second is we have Special Crime Division. We have the Special Crime Division. Okay. So third is we have the CBI division, that is dealing with the financial, okay, crimes also. There are three divisions of the CBI. Remember this particular thing very clearly. Now understand one other important facts also. The CBI is exempted from RTA Act. The RTA Act of 2005. Okay, the CBI does not come under the RTA Act of the 2005. Understand this one more thing clearly. And who will appoint the CBI director? The CBI director is appointed by a committee of 3 members, right? In that, Prime Minister is the chairman, Chief Justice of India or the Supreme Court judge appointed by Chief Justice of India, leader of the opposition in the Lok Sabha, or leader of the single largest party in the Lok Sabha. 3-member committee will appoint the director of CBI for a term of 2 years, and it can be extended up to the 5 years. And these are all the facts. And there is one person called as DP Kohli. So who is this DP Kohli? He is the director of the CBI. In 1960s. So he is the person who has strengthened the CBI to the maximum extent. Okay, and tried to improve the standards of the CBI when it comes to investigation of the cases throughout the India. That is one point you have to understand. Then understand one more thing also. Okay, in 1997, okay, there is a Supreme Court case called as Vinit Narayan, okay, versus Union of India. Vinit Narayan versus Union of India case. So in this Vinith Narayan versus Union of India case 1997, Supreme Court talked about the autonomy of the CBI. Supreme Court has said that CBI is working like the government of India or the central government cage parrot. Okay, it is not investigating the cases in an impartial and also the what you call the integrity manner. So Vinith Narayan versus Union of India case. So in this case, okay, CBI is investigating the Hawala scam at that particular point of time, where a lot of higher officials and the politicians are involved. So whenever the case file is submitted in the Supreme Court, the CBI has not included any of the officials of the central government and the politicians. In this particular case, the Supreme Court has asked the CBI that there are serious allegations against these officers and politicians. Why you did not involved or included their names in the what you call the statement submitted to the court? In this particular case, okay, Supreme Court has made what you call give some clear guidelines or suggestions that CBI should work in an autonomous, independent manner to solve the cases related to crimes and other aspects in India. So this is how it is. So understand these things very clearly. So this is the thing here regarding the CBI. So these are all the facts. So history is British time. Okay, after World War II, in 1941, the British government in India established the Special Police Establishment to investigate the corruption charges, okay, that happened in the British administration in India. Then later on what happened? British gone and we got the independence. So government of India constituted the Shantanam Committee on Prevention of Corruption, where the Shantanam Committee clearly said that there should be a separate investigation agency to deal with the crimes and the corruption charges, okay, corruption cases in India, administrative or political or business corruption cases. So government of India has established the CBI under the Home Ministry initially. Later on it is shifted to Ministry of Personnel, which is under Prime Minister Office, headed by the Prime Minister. So it investigates two types of crimes: heinous crimes and corruption crimes. Heinous crimes, okay, like murder, dacoity, all this thing. Corruption crimes, corruption related to the politicians and administrators under Prevention of Corruption Act. But during the investigation of corruption charges, the CBI works with the CVC, Central Vigilance Commission. It has three divisions: economic division, special crime division, and financial crimes okay, related division. It is exempted from RTA Act 2005, and there is a 3-member committee that recommends and nominates the director of the CBI. Okay, and DP Kohli, he is the person, the director who strengthened the CBI during the 1960s. So in the Vinith Narayan versus Union of India case 1997, Supreme Court okay, said that CBI is acting like a cage parrot. It should work in an autonomous, integrated and also independent manner in the Hawala scam case. So this is the CBI. So let us understand about the what you call the enforcement director, enforcement directorate. What do you mean by ED? ED means enforcement directorate. So same thing. So see here, we will discuss the facts okay, in a much more deeper manner. Okay. So what is this? It is India's Economic Intelligence Agency. It is India's Economic Intelligence Agency. Economic Intelligence Agency. Okay. Economic Intelligence Agency. Now understand one more thing. So ED, Enforcement Directorate, it will investigate the economic and financial crimes. It will investigate the economic and financial crimes okay, that happen in India. Understand these things very clearly. And Enforcement Directorate, okay, it is under Ministry of Finance. It is under the Ministry of Finance or Finance Ministry at Union Government level, and its headquarters is in Delhi. Its headquarters is in Delhi. Now this point is very, very important. Okay, it is given powers. It is a statutory body. It is a statutory body, and it is given the power of investigation of economic offences. It is given the power of investigation of economic offences under 4 laws. Under 4 laws. 4 laws are there that will give the power of investigation to the Enforcement Directorate. to investigate the economic crimes. So what are those four laws? So what are those four laws? First is FEMA Act, Foreign Exchange Management Act, FEMA Act of 1999, FEMA Act of 1999, Foreign Exchange Management Act, 1999. So FEMA Act, of 1999, what it will do is that, so it will deal with, foreign exchange control. Foreign exchange control, that means what? Foreign exchange, dollars, or rubles, Japanese yen, how they are coming into India, is there any illegal activity going on in the foreign exchange related aspects? The FEMA Act will look after it. Foreign exchange control and management, FEMA Act will give the power to it. Then second act that gives the power to the power of investigation to Enforcement Directorate is the second one is Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Prevention of Money Laundering Act, which was passed by the Parliament of India in the year 2002. So under this act, if somebody is involved in money laundering, if somebody is involved in illegal money laundering, that is hawala and all those things, what will happen is that the ED will have the power of investigation of the money laundering cases. The ED will have the power to seize the property that was created out of the money laundering, and at the same time, it has the right to attach property. It has the right to attach the property, that is created out of the money laundering or illegal money. సో అంటే ఇక్కడ ఏంటంటే అసలు ఏ చట్టాలు ఈడీకి పవర్ ఇస్తవి అనేది వీఆర్ సీయింగ్, దట్స్ ఇట్. దెన్ మళ్ళీ ఈ చట్టాలు ఇవన్నీ కూడా మళ్ళీ పెద్ద పెద్ద చట్టాలు ఉంటాయి, జస్ట్ సింపుల్గా అర్థం చేసుకోండి. ఆ తర్వాత మనకు మూడోది ఏంటంటే ఫ్యూగిటివ్ అఫెండర్స్ యాక్ట్. Fugitive Offenders Act. Fugitive Offenders Act. So this act was recently passed by the Indian Parliament in the year 2018 to deal with hardcore persons like Vijay Mallya, Mehul Choksey and other people who cheated the Indian banks and went out of this particular country, cheating the Indian system and the Indian people. Fugitive Offenders Act or Fugitive Economic Offenders Act 2018, it says that any person who has cheated the banks of more than 100 crore rupees, he is called as a fugitive economic offender. And ED will have the power to investigate the fugitive economic offenders, attach their properties, confiscate their properties and recall the money or restore the money. For example, recently the Vijay Mallya is what you call Indian assets were attached to the ED and they have sold it, and they have recovered more than 2000 crore rupees and they have given it to the public sector banks, so that is the government of India. Then we also have one more act called as COFEPOSA Act. COFEPOSA Act. So what is this COFEPOSA Act? It is simply Conservation of Foreign Exchange and Prevention of Smuggling Act. Conservation of Foreign Exchange and Prevention of Smuggling Act. Ante smuggling of goods, smuggling of idols, smuggling of gold into India, all that is stopped by this particular COFEPOSA Act, which was passed by Parliament in 1974. So overall what I want to say is that there are 4 acts that give the power of investigation of economic offences to the Enforcement Directorate. Enforcement Directorate right now it is under Ministry of Finance. It is a statutory body. Why? Because all these 4 acts they give the investigation power to the ED. But you have to understand one thing here. So initially in 1947, ED is under the Department of Economic Affairs. It is under the Department of Economic Affairs, Economic Affairs of Ministry of Finance. Then what they did is, over a period of time, that is in 1957, ED was shifted to Department of Revenue, under the Finance Ministry, Right now, you remember this point, ED will have a director and his term he is appointed by Government of India through an executive order, and his term is 2 years. But right now his term is extended for what you call it as more than 5 years. You can extend his term. That is the thing here. What ED will do? It is India's Economic Intelligence Agency. It will control the economic related crimes, foreign exchange crimes, money laundering crimes, cheating of banks, smuggling of goods and gold, smuggling of gold. All these financial crimes will be tackled by the ED. This is the news here. So this is the thing here. So air pollution in India. So what is this air pollution in India? So just try to understand here. Why does the air pollution rises every October in Delhi and Indo-Gangetic Plain? So why it is happening? So why it is happening in Delhi and the entire Indo-Gangetic Plain every year? The October, that is the November, December, January. That means overall the winter season, you will have the air pollution, more and more air pollution in this particular region. What is the reason? What is the reason? There are 3 factors. One is input of pollutants. Second is cold climatic condition. Third is local conditions. So what are these? First thing is that you have to understand during the winter season, what will happen is that there is something like cold air mass coming from Himalayas, and settling between the Himalayas and also the Vindhya and Satpura mountains of central India. So this entire place, it is having what is called as the cold air mass. Cold air mass settled between the Himalayas and the Vindhya Satpura mountains. ఇక్కడ నుంచి ఇక్కడ వరకు మొత్తం అంతా కూడా కోల్డ్ ఎయిర్ మాస్ అనేది ఉంటుందన్నమాట. ఫస్ట్ థింగ్. సెకండ్ థింగ్ ఇస్ దట్ see here, cold air mass or cold air, it will be denser and it will be what you call, it will be denser and immobile. అంటే అది ఒక ప్లేస్ నుంచి ఇంకో ప్లేస్కి ఈజీగా వెళ్ళిపోదు అనమాట. Then the third reason here for air pollution in India is what will happen is that release of pollutants. So what type of pollutants are released into the cold air mass that is immobile, not moving from one place to another place? Different type of pollutants. For example, thermal power plants. What they will do? They will release carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, oxides of nitrogen, oxides of sulfur, fly ash, right? So all of that will be emitted and it will be stuck in this particular cold air mass. Then vehicular pollutions, vehicles, diesel vehicles, petrol vehicles, they also release carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, oxides of nitrogen, oxides of sulfur, and also the particulate matter of size 10 microns, 2.5 microns and also 1 micron. Then construction industry, construction of houses, they will release huge amount of dust. Then what will happen? Fourth one is that during the winter season, farmers in Punjab, Haryana, UP, they go for rabi crops. They go for rabi crop season, right? So during this particular thing, what they will do is that they harvest the kharif crops and they just remove the entire food grains. Whatever the grass is there that is left, biomass, that they will burn it. Rabi crops, farmers will burn the biomass. When they burn the biomass, obviously carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, methane gas will be released and it is stuck in this particular entire cold air mass located between Himalayas, Vindhyas and Satpuras. Then what will happen is that Diwali festival. So people, they will madly burn the crackers without having any intention towards the what you call the environment, concern towards the environment. Diwali. Then Dasara is also celebrated in this particular North Indian region, where every street will what you call burn the idol of Ravana, creating again huge pollution through crackers. So all these are various reasons for the air pollution in this particular thing. And why the air is struck there? See here, This side you have land, northern side you have land, here also you have land. There is nothing like, or there is a total absence of sea breeze. Sea breeze. Sea breeze means the flow of air from the sea towards the land. The same sea breeze is present in the southern India. The same sea breeze is present in the southern India, where the what you call the wind will move from the sea onto the land. When the wind is moving from sea to the land, it will just take away all the pollutants that are there in southern India. This facility, this natural facility is absent in northern India because of the presence of land there. Okay, understand, these are all the factors related to the air pollution happening. Why only in the winter season in the Delhi and the northern regions. So this is the thing here. So I want to discuss 3 topics, but I could cover only 3 topics, 5 topics, 3 are covered. Remaining I will see tomorrow. Why? Because I have other class. So understand that very clearly. So thank you for your cooperation. Do watch this particular videos. Okay, all the best. Prepare well for the group 1 examination. Notification will come. Okay, so thank you very much. Thank you.